Sally, nice to meet you.
Hi, how are you?
Sally, nice to meet you.
Hi, I'm
Please be seated. Welcome to Reno High. We're going to be reading from Unit 6, Question 2. And we'll begin real briefly with introductions from the judge panel. My name is Jim Leslie. I'm an attorney here at Reno. I've been an attorney for about 20 years and currently employed at the Washington County Defender's Office.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Vanessa Spinazzola. I'm at the American Civil Liberties Union of Nevada. I'm the Legislative and Advocacy Director and also a Louisiana licensed attorney.
I'm Dr. Robert Dickens. I'm Director of Governmental Relations for the University of Nevada. I work with President Mark Johnson. I teach political science, but my main activity is being a lobbyist for this university in the Nevada legislature with the federal government.
Good morning. My name is Elliot Sattler. I'm a prosecutor in the Washington County DA's office, where I've been working for the last 20 years prosecuting major felony crimes.
All right, guys ready? Question number 2. What challenges might face American constitutional democracy in the 21st century? What do you think are the greatest challenges of American citizenship today? Why and how does constitutional democracy in the United States depend on the active participation of its citizens? What are the advantages and disadvantages, if any, of being a citizen of both the United States and the state in which you currently reside? Please begin.
Jose Saramago, a modern political philosopher who wrote heavily on the reform of government, stated, "As citizens, we all have an obligation to intervene and become involved. It's the citizens who change things." During the framing of the Constitution, citizens of the United States were intended to be the foundation of the government, which was based on the ideas of individual rights and classical republicanism.
We face challenges from an unyielding hyperpartisanship, leading to many problems such as apathetic citizens and political gridlock. In his farewell address, George Washington stated, "The government for the whole is indispensable. No alliance, however strict, between the parts can be an adequate substitute."
On issues such as immigration, education, and the looming fiscal cliff, we are unable to make great progress because we have two opposing parties unwilling to compromise. Hyperpartisanship was a key concern in Federalist 10 when Madison stated, "The public good is disregarded in the conflict of rival parties. Citizens can change this trend, however, we have a generally inactive population."
The lack of education about policies can be seen by a poll conducted by 19 such partners, in which 78% of Americans who are likely to qualify for subsidies under the Affordable Care Act were unfamiliar with the coverage. Ultimately, the lack of adequate education about policies creates many problems in a country that is dependent on active and informed citizens.
In the framing of the Constitution, classical Republican thought is apparent. Classical Republicanism is based on the educated, active participation of citizens in order to move toward the highest common good. Citizens involve themselves through voting, campaigning for candidates, holding political office, serving on jury duty, and petitioning their government.
Additionally, becoming involved in voluntary, religious, humanitarian organizations or NGOs allows citizens to provide a check on the government and achieve change. Civil disobedience is another valuable tool to achieve change. Its power is demonstrated in the civil rights movement in the 1960s, which led to the passing of the Civil Rights Act in 1964. Without these actively involved and educated citizens, a constitutional democracy fails.
U.S. versus Cruikshank and U.S. versus Lambda established that a person is a citizen of both the state and the nation, but the laws are different under each government. Federalist 51 explains the double security federalism creates. The state governments will prevent the tyranny of the federal government, and the federal government will prevent the tyranny of the states. For example, many states have recently sued the federal government over the constitutionality of the Affordable Care Act, demonstrating their right to challenge the federal government.
Further, citizens can vote in national and state elections. The 10th Amendment states powers not delegated to the United States are left to the states, allowing them to make laws tailored to their region. A unique advantage of being a Nevada voter is the none of the above option on state and national ballots, giving citizens the opportunity to show his or her distaste with the candidates. Additionally, Nevada does not have a corporate tax, making Nevada an attraction for many businesses.
However, the ability to make laws can lead to conflicts between states and the federal government. For example, each state can control how heavily regulated firearms are within their state. Meanwhile, the federal government has its own regulations. This can lead to a disadvantage exemplified in Lopez in the United States, in which a man violated not only a state firearm law, but also a federal law, and could have been subject to punishment by both governments. Additionally, the legalization of marijuana at the state level questions the supremacy clause and whether the state or federal law should be enforced.
Societal and political change is inevitable. Some negatives arise with this change, such as hyperpartisanship plaguing our society, while positive also arise, as we see with the 15th and 19th Amendments. However, the responsibility ultimately falls upon the citizens of the United States to address the challenges we face, ensure domestic tranquility, and secure the blessings of liberty. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for the opening statement. We'll go ahead and hear some questions from the judge panel.
Our first question is, what are non-governmental organizations, NGOs, and how can Americans participate in them?
Non-government organizations are organizations that the government doesn't fund, doesn't give money to in any way. So this could be humanitarian organizations, it could be religious organizations. Some examples are the Red Cross, during the Civil Rights Movement, the NAACP. There's a huge variety of them.
NGOs allow for citizens to make change without the influence of the government. We can help our community and help the less fortunate without having to depend on government to further those programs.
NGOs also allow for citizens to become involved in their community in ways that they are interested in, and so it also brings about enlightened self-interest because it is promoting their interests while helping the community at the same time.
An example is I participated in a program known as AYLP, and it brought in students from Algeria to come to America to learn more about each other, and through this we learn about other societies and learn more about the world.
How can you participate in your local government? And I'm interested if you're under 17, or excuse me, you're under 18, so you can't vote, how you can participate, and then maybe if you're over 18, how your participation is impacted by the fact you can't.
Well, I'm 17, so with this last election, 2012 election, I participated by volunteering at the voter's office on election day by helping monitor sites such as Twitter and monitoring the info with the Nevada ballot. Also, a way to specifically become involved within the community is, as we had mentioned, through campaigning and serving jury duty, as well as going and helping your local offices.
The Supreme Court case Tinker versus Des Moines established that students in schools have freedom of expression. We've established clubs at Reno High, such as the Young Democrats Club, the Young Republicans Club, and even a nonpartisan club. Having to express ourselves in schools and outside of schools through canvassing and things such as that allows us to have a voice without a vote.
And Frederick Douglass said during the Reconstruction era that we need to focus on the children, because if we build stronger children, they will make up for the broken men that are around.
Why do you think that democracies encourage while authoritarian or totalitarian governments discourage non-governmental organizations?
Well, they encourage the idea of non-governmental organizations because through NGOs, it allows a check on the government, which is expressed in the checks and balances, by giving them the room to achieve change. With a totalitarian government, this would not be possible because of the fact that the public opinion is not as important as it is in a democracy.
Article 4 of the Constitution says that powers not delegated to the government are left to the people. And this is the idea of democracy, that the government is dependent on the people and the people can enact change without the government.
So not many totalitarian governments have that provision in their constitution.
No, they would prefer to do it.
And if you leave it list, I keep dictating. Any follow-ups to that? Well, I have a question that's maybe, I guess, as young people, you can really speak to this hopefully, is what can or should be done to encourage greater civic participation by young people? I'm not just talking about voting, but can you talk to us about how to get the next generation, even after you, more involved in the political process?
I think it all begins with education. Programs such as the Lead People program here are good at getting students involved in the community and being civically active. And I think that's really important because it starts in the beginning, and so that if they start with that, then as they grow to be adults, they'll teach others to also be actively involved in the community.
Another example of this is most high schools, including our high school, when you graduate, you're required to do a certain number of community service hours. We have to do 10 per semester, and this is a good way to encourage and require students to get involved in organizations that they feel passionate about within their community.
Further, the Constitution, when it was written, was established on the idea of classical republicanism, which is based on the moral education of the students. And so in order to get more voter participation, some claim that we should make it a requirement, but I think it's more crucial to educate the people about policies so that they want to participate. They see the issues in our nation and want to be a part of it.
Follow-up question? Maybe to some of the things that were touched on in your opening statement. We've heard from each group, they talk about gridlock, and that Congress is completely gridlocked. Maybe, 25% of the people approve of the job Congress is doing. Yet, we continue to elect the same people to go back and do the exact same thing. Does that make any sense to anybody? And if not, what can we do to fix that?
Well, throughout history, there's always been these ideas of parties. This can be seen with the primary closed systems in which you have to vote for only the candidates within the party that you're registered under. This also is due to the fact that we don't look for the common good of what we're doing, which is why we are led to a gridlock. When we were framing the Constitution, there was an idea of civil discourse, which is how we were able to compromise. And in order to change that, we should go back to that idea of civil discourse and finding negotiations.
Further, I think education of the people on both sides would help a lot. Schools so heavily try to avoid being politically one side or the other that when you turn 18, you're told to vote and you're not sure on any issues because you've never lived on your own. And so I think educating citizens is a great way to get rid of the hyper-partisanship. Further systems such as gerrymandering that create safe districts need to be abolished.
Federalist 51 talked about how you can have a lot of factions or parties in this case, which if you have enough of them, they will cancel out and make sure that no party is in too much power. And so I think if you could bring some of the smaller parties to power to be equivalent to like the Democrats and the Republicans, then there would be less tension between those two parties in Congress, and it would be easier to pass legislation.
Well, excellent presentation. Good job. So now we get to grill you. Well, we'll try to be quick, but you guys earned a lot of good feedback. You guys did an excellent job, and that's kind of surface level commentary. You did a good job, congratulations, and everybody hears that. But you really did a fantastic job. You spread the participation over everybody, and you carried forward. A lot of people can do a good opening statement, and then they kind of fall apart across their examination. You guys carried the momentum, and you did a fantastic job. I felt like I could actually go on for another 45 minutes and ask questions and walk away having been educated about what I need to know about the civic issues that you talked about. You tied it back to Republican classic Republicanism when we were talking about education and bringing up the next generation. I could go on and on, but in the interest of time, we won't. You guys really did a fantastic superior job.
I completely agree, and I agree with the comment. You all were almost more comfortable in the follow-up section than you were in your opening statement, which I think demonstrates incredible knowledge of the subject area. You were all very passionate and truly believed in what you were saying, which I definitely appreciated. And I think every single follow-up question had an example of either the Federalist Papers or a case or a study that had been done, so I think you did a good job.
Good preparation, broad participation within the group, backed up each other very, very well. Good depth in your analysis of answers. I would encourage you to spend a little time thinking about the difference between interest groups and non-governmental organizations. Interest groups tend to be more characteristic of the American, Western European political systems. One thing I really appreciated was how, on follow-up questions, more than one person participated on the process.
The only thing I'll say, but it is very positive, is with 5 people it can be a little bit unwieldy. seen groups of 3, we've seen groups of 4, you're the first group of 5. And so it can be kind of tough with that many people trying to get their thoughts in. But I thought you all were very respectful of each other, and you really participated as all as equals, but it never got uncomfortable that I felt like I had to hear from you and then you and then you and then you. I mean, it was just very well balanced. And just to emphasize the fact that it's easy to have quotes and citations to case law and citations to the Federalist Papers when they're looking down and reading from something. But the fact that some of that you all brought in, I think it's Tinker versus Des Moines, Frederick Douglass, Article 4 of the Constitution, Federalist number 51, and responses to spontaneous questions were very impressive. Excellent.
They don't get any, we don't know.